Okay, so let's go over the Thundering Manifestation. In this video, I'm going to go over a few tips and fundamental mechanics that you have to realize before going into the boss fight. I'll be going over all the phases of the boss fight and all the mechanics within every phase, showing you guys the best way to avoid, dodge, get out of every ability that the boss might have. And then near the end of the video, there's going to be a small clip of me actually killing the boss, showing you guys an effective way that I try to kill the Thundering Manifestation, or I have killed to farm the materials for the Raiden Shogun currently. So with all that being clarified, let's get into the video. Okay, first thing that you need to do when you start to farm this boss is make your team composition. And there's really only one element you can't use, and that is Electro. You can use any of the other 5 available elements: Cryo, Animo, Geo, Pyro, and Hydro. You can use any of them in whatever combination you want, you just can't use Electro. On top of that, characters like bow users will have a slight advantage in this boss fight, as well as Catalyst users. They'll have a slight advantage as the boss is kind of like a flying enemy. So sword characters, spear users, and claymore users will struggle a bit more, whilst bow and Catalyst will succeed a bit more. Other than that, bring all your highest damaging characters that aren't Electro and you'll do just fine in this boss fight. Okay, now to explain all his mechanics and his phases. So we'll start off at the beginning of the fight. You'll enter phase 1, which is pretty much the first 10 to 20% of his HP. Once you get him past that threshold, he'll just phase change. And in this first phase, you can expect only really 1 to 2 attacks, but they're attacks that cover the whole arena. That's really all I can say about these. He doesn't do much in this phase, and getting him out of this phase is super easy. He has a lot of standstill time where you can just damage him. But the general gist is that there's going to be a lot of AoE markers on the ground that you'll just want to avoid by either going to the border of the room or trying to stand between them if you're kind of lucky enough to get good circle placement. But don't expect to be in this phase for too long, seeing as he changes out of it very quickly. After you get him to about 80% HP, around that threshold, he'll phase change into pretty much the main phase, I'm going to call it. I don't even think it's a 1 and 2, I think it's just the main phase. And in this one, he'll just get a large array of different attacks that he'll do in different sequences. And so the first one of those attacks, and the most common, is kind of like his Beyblade maneuver, where he'll kind of like grab his wings, act like he's about to spin, or like get in that spinning preparation mode, and then spin towards you, either going to the edge of the arena or stopping about 10 meters after he started. It's a very simple attack to dodge, just side strafe out of the way, and this also is the attack that you'll be seeing the most throughout the whole fight. The next most common attack, and a pretty cool one in my opinion, is his Electro Wall Squish Wall attack, whatever you want to call it. He summons 2 Electro Walls that come in from your left and right, and they slowly move towards each other until they either squish you or you get out of it and they just hit each other. He also uses this attack pretty frequently, so it can get a bit annoying where you have to run away from it, but running through it doesn't do too much damage, and if you have a shield character, that you can also just bypass this whole thing. It can be a bit of a pickle to dodge if you're in the middle of your combo, but if you're kind of aware that he's doing an attack, you can like preemptively start to run away and dodge it in time. But overall, not too difficult to get out of. And his third most common attack, on top of the previous 2, is quite a weirdly hard one to describe, but he puts down a marker on top of you, and then about a few seconds later, a continuous surge of electricity will be following you around the map in the form of a kind of rectangular prism. Overall, easy to dodge, and I haven't actually tested the damage that it does without a shield on. All I know is that I'm way too scared to actually stand in it for more than 5 seconds. So overall, when you see this marker going out, do just run away continuously so you can avoid taking damage, because I expect that it does a very hefty amount of it. Something I should also note down is that he can send out other attacks whilst this attack is also following you around the map. For instance, in one of the examples, he sends out the rectangular prism that follows me around the map, but he also sends out his lightning bolts. I don't even know what to call them, but he sends out a lightning bolt attack, which, you know, if I was in the way, I could have gotten hit by both and probably died. So be wary of that he can send out other attacks whilst the Electro Prism is following you around. So this next ability is quite a uncommon one. I don't see him use this quite often, and because of that, I actually don't have much footage of him using it. The few times that I did see him use it was during the rectangular prism beam attack. So I do apologize if you can't see it quite well. But what he does for this attack is he summons 5 little kind of sparkly circle objects in front of him. And then after about 2 seconds of charging up, he will fire out electro projectiles in front of him. Overall, this is quite a simple attack to avoid and dodge. You can either try to go to the sides in front of him and hopefully just not get hit by one of them, or for the safest option, you can go right behind him where he has no chance of hitting you, seeing as these objects can only be fired forward. And another one of his more uncommon attacks that I didn't see that much and don't have much footage of is an attack similar to the Pyro and Cryo Hyperstasis, where they will roll around, going from one side of the arena to the other a few times. Now what the Thunder Manifestation will do is he'll fly up into the sky and mark out a rectangular area that he'll fly across from one side to the other, and he'll do this about 2 to 3 times every single time he does this ability. In my opinion, this one's actually super easy to dodge. If anything, way too easier. They could speed up the ability and make it a bit harder to dodge, because you have about maybe 2 seconds to actually walk 4 meters, which is way too much time. But that's just my opinion. They could have made this a bit harder to dodge, but oh well. Overall, not too difficult. Now, before we move on to the gameplay clip of me completing the boss fight and showing you guys what's going on, I should say that there are about 1 to 2 more abilities that I haven't covered, and that's because they really don't happen. I've seen them about maybe once or twice, and I've maybe already killed this boss 10 to 12 times in total, maybe even more, and I've only seen those abilities once or twice, so they're outside the realm of, like, importance. Like, they don't happen enough for it to be important enough to mention. They are really just AoE markers, so if you do see them, just walk out of the marker, but that's all there is to them. And so with that being said, let's now move on to the little clip of me actually defeating the boss. To quickly give you guys the rundown of what is happening, I've got Hu Tao, Kazuha, Tartaglia, and Barbara. I did try to avoid using Zhongli, just so you guys have a feeling of what it's like to not have an overpowered shield on the team. So there's going to be a lot of healing, a lot of taking damage, a lot of standing still and avoiding things, just so I don't want to die. I don't have any Electro characters. I do have a Hu Tao who's Pyro, Anemo Kazuha, and Tartaglia Hydro. None of them are really phenomenal. I guess the strongest is Kazuha and Hu Tao. Tartaglia is there just because, just to fill really. Don't expect too much, you know, high damage. I'm just here cruising, showing you guys the mechanics, and just a general boss kill. No min-maxing, no try-harding really. Throughout the whole run, I do try to avoid the boss mechanics in the ways that I have suggested. Most of them work out. Most of them are pretty easy to dodge in the way that I suggested. But, you know, some of them you do see that I get either hit by or something like that. And, you know, that really is just what happens. You sometimes get hit, sometimes you don't. But with all that clarified now, and, you know, I hope you guys understand everything and you have gotten the grasp of the fight, I'm going to leave you guys with a bit of music and a bit of a clip of me doing the boss fight. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you at the end.
Let's dance. I'll protect us.
And that's the Thundering Manifestation guide video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you like this guide type content by me, then also hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.